guys, this is Tony Paradis. I'm a personal trainer and licensed dietitian with Food and Fitness. Check out my website. I'll link that down below at foodandfitnessonline.com. Today, I'm going to talk about high-intensity training and why it's good for novice lifters. So to give you a little bit of background, high-intensity training is described often as a single set, usually taken to failure. It's a very brief, short, and intense workout. So why would high-intensity work for the novice lifters or for people just beginning an exercise program? I broke this up into 3 parts. We're going to talk about the goals of the novice effect, and the high-intensity training advantage. So first of all, let's look at the goals of the novice lifters or the novice exercisers. So if you haven't been exercising in a while, what should your goals be, or what might your goals be? Number 1 is to improve health and fitness. And this is where we're going to see changes in body composition, so that's your muscle to fat ratio, your cardiovascular endurance, your strength and muscular endurance, and your flexibility. So if you want to improve your health related components to fitness, you want to see a few, if not all of these things go up. Also, let's talk about improving wellness, which should also be the goal of the novice lifter, usually for people who haven't exercised in a while. Your goals might be to decrease your risk factors for disease, like cardiovascular disease, for cancer, for diabetes, those sorts of things. So you may say your blood lipid panel improved, your cholesterol improved, all of those sorts of things. You want to see an improvement in confidence, and that's going to come usually with a weightlifting program. An improvement in your sleep, which exercise helps wonderfully for that, and then a decrease in your stress as well as depression, which exercise also helps with all of those things. So whatever exercise program you use will ambiguously help with all of these things. And we'll get to why high-intensity training has an advantage here in a little bit. And finally, let's talk about long-term compliance. Long-term compliance is important because if you want to see all of these things improve through the goals of the novice, you got to stick with it. So exercise isn't something you just do to lose those 10 or 20 pounds and then stop doing. You have to keep doing it forever for the rest of your life. So long-term compliance is very important. Some things that we want to consider with long-term compliance is cost versus benefits. In other words, how much time, effort, and energy do you spend versus how many of these benefits you get from these first 2 areas we talked about. Consistency is also going to be important because, once again, you have to keep going. You have to keep up with it regularly. Motivation is going to be very important. And finally, you guys can't see this down here, a little bit cut off by the camera, but mental toughness. So mental toughness helps with long-term compliance, being able to push past some of that soreness, some of that discomfort, and that couch-locked effect where you get off work, you're sitting on the couch, and you just can't seem to get up. Having a better mental toughness will get you up and in the gym. So those are some goals of the novice, or some of the goals you should consider that you should have. Now, some of these you may have more. Maybe you're more of a cardio goal. Maybe you have more of a strength and endurance goal. It's really up to you. Okay, moving on. So we talked about some of the goals of the novice. Let's talk about the novice effect. And the novice effect basically means that anything works. Any kind of exercise you do, don't get caught up on whether it's perfect. Okay, there's a concept I talk about. It's called paralysis by analysis. I mean, you keep looking for that perfect workout program. You keep looking for that perfect thing that's going to work, and that keeps you from doing anything at all. The novice effect means that anything works. This is especially true for the beginner. Okay, Crossfit works. Bodybuilding works. Starting strength. 5x5 programs, calisthenics, running programs, high and low volume training, power yoga, and of course, high intensity training. For the beginner, you're going to see improvement in all of these goals of the novice, in your body composition, in your cardio, and your flexibility, and all those sorts of things, either weightlifting, doing an aerobics program, doing CrossFit, doing a powerlifting program. You're going to see progress in all of those things if you're starting with a baseline of 0. Okay, some things are going to improve more than others, but all of these things are going to increase. So what if we know that anything works, and we know some of the goals of the novice? Why does high-intensity training have an advantage? High-intensity training has an advantage because it achieves the goals of the novice. High intensity training is going to improve your body composition, your cardiovascular endurance, your strength and endurance, and your flexibility by going through the full range of motion of the exercise. You're going to have a better long-term compliance for somebody who's just starting off because you're talking about 10 to 20 minute weightlifting programs compared to maybe an hour or 90 minutes from some of these other standard types of programs. Okay, so that's where the cost versus benefit that we talked about in long-term compliance comes into play. Slow eccentric emphasizes control and can decrease the rate of injury. So in other words, for a beginner, it's very important to learn lifting tempo and learn how to control the weight, because high-intensity training usually focuses on a longer eccentric contraction phase. You're going to see results in that area. Number 4, it lowers the intensity of DOMS, and DOMS stands for delayed onset muscle soreness. When you have a very high volume workout, you tend to have a very high amount of delayed onset muscle soreness. So for the beginner, this could be an advantage for not feeling like you got hit by a truck after you just got done working out. And finally, number 5, and this one's really important to consider, guys, is high intensity training is not the best way to work out. You can see in another one of my videos, I described how multiple sets has a distinct advantage over doing single sets. But that doesn't mean that that one set doesn't have an advantage. And it has enough advantage to give you progress in all of these areas for the goal of the novice at a very low cost to benefit ratio. So you're getting a lot of benefit for a very minimal amount of cost. And so finally, number 5, and most importantly, that's why I wrote this in all caps, is this can transition to other weight training programs. So what I mean by that is if you want to try a high-intensity training program, and that's what keeps you in the gym for the first couple of months, and then you start doing a 5x5 program, or then you start getting into bodybuilding or something where you have much more of a time investment, well, guess what? Then high-intensity training was one of the best things you did for yourself, because the most important thing in the goals of the novice is long-term compliance. Guys, I hope you enjoyed my presentation on why high-intensity training is good for novice lifters. We talked about the goals of the novice. We talked about how anything works. Well, mostly anything works. And the high-intensity advantage. My name is Tony Paradis, owner of Food and Fitness here in Flower Mound. Please check out my website at foodandfitnessonline.com. And guys, leave a comment below. Start a discussion. Come at me with some science. And I'm also open to some constructive criticism, so appreciate you and hope to hear from you soon. Also, check out my other videos on high-intensity training. I'll link them somewhere here in the video. Thanks.